Me people, I've been watching the propaganda being pushed across Africa to separate South Africa from the rest of the continent. And honestly, I don't understand why more people are not speaking about this, right? As a foreigner who has lived in South Africa for 17 years, I believe that I'm qualified to speak on this issue, right? And I suspect that many foreigners will also agree with me on this one. Yes, things are tense today, right? Yes, there are serious problems here, but it was not always like this, right? Let me tell you a story. Growing up in Zimbabwe, many of our mothers were cross-border traders. They traveled here to South Africa to buy and sell goods, right? Before many of us ever set our foot here, right? If you're Zimbabwean, you know exactly what I'm talking about here, right? Our mothers came back home with stories of kindness here. They came back with clothes, man, sometimes with food. Some South Africans even offered money, simply wanting to help, all right? That is why when the Zimbabwe's economy collapsed in 2008, many people chose South Africa, right? We had grown up hearing about the hospitality of its people, right? And when we arrived here, South Africans didn't disappoint me, people. We lived together here. We worked together. We built together. Just before the World Cup, I still remember, we were one people, but then something began to change, right? Life became harder here. The economy slowed down. The jobs also started to become scarce around here. At the same time, more and more people kept coming, right? Arriving from across the continent. South Africans, they started raising concerns about this. They were asking whether the country could sustain the pressure, whether there was an imbalance, developing, between economic opportunity and the number of people that are depending on it, right? Which is normal. Whether one agreed with those concerns or not, they were being raised, right? And what happened? Silence. The political class ignored the conversation. They waited for the pressure to just die down. Then it came back again. They were ignored again and again, year after year. This is what was happening. Meanwhile, unemployment, it continued to rise. The economy also stopped growing. Everyone knows this. Then, frustration, it continued to rise. That's what you would expect, right? Now we have reached a point where the issue can no longer be ignored. What we've been sweeping under the carpet for years now, we can't ignore it anymore now. The carpet has become lumpy. It's causing people to fall, right? So we are now forced to confront what should have been addressed a long time ago. And the truth is, it's not good, my people. It's not looking good. This is why I get frustrated when I see Africans looking at South Africa and reducing everything happening here just as, South Africans are xenophobic, and that's it. That's not analysis, my people. That's intellectual laziness, Africa will not be built by slogans, my people, not by emotions. We are too emotional right now, and that needs to end. Africa will build by our willingness to confront difficult conversation. And as a Pan-African, I believe that this situation requires all of us, my people. What is happening in South Africa is not merely a South African crisis. And I keep talking about this. It is a regional crisis, right? And when you consider migration pressures, there is unemployment, government failures, economic instability, the conflicts that are going on across the continent, you quickly see that it's a continental issue now. So you cannot solve continental issues with national conversations alone. That's what we're talking about here. South Africa needs Africa to listen, not to attack them, not to label them, not to dismiss them, just to listen, right? Because Pan-Africanism itself is not the refusal to discuss problems, my people. It is the courage to discuss them, but honestly, for a change, right? When South Africans say we hear your message about one Africa, but we can't fit the entire continent in South Africa here, that concern deserves engagement, my people, not just attack. Real unity requires honesty and difficult conversations. It requires understanding the forces that are shaping our reality and working together to find solutions to solve them, right? If we cannot do that, then we should as well just stop pretending that we're serious about unity around here, right? And lastly, I want Africans also to understand something important here. Sometimes 2 or 3 things can be true at the same time, right? It can be true that migration issues or migration pressures are real around here, right? It can also be true that citizens have legitimate concerns here. It can also be true that violence against innocent people is not right, and must be condemned. These truths, they don't cancel each other out, me people. Mature thinking allows us to hold multiple truths at the same time. And as Pan-Africanists, we need South Africa in the Africa that we are trying to build here. There is no one Africa without South Africa, right? That is why I urge you, my brothers and sisters across the continent, to try and understand South Africans just a little bit more than the headlines want you to. Because if Africa becomes divided within itself, my people, then those people who never wanted African unity in the first place, they win, right? We can't allow that. Think about it.